In this video, I'm going to show you how to capture amazing panoramic photos with your iPhone. To do that, we've traveled to a really special location. This is one of the most beautiful spots in the entire country. So I'm standing here in Gauja National Park next to this giant river bend, and I'm actually standing on top of a cliff. So that gives me a really unique perspective because I can look down on the river as it makes this massive U shape in front of me. And that is exactly the kind of photo where you'd want to take a panorama. Now, let me show you exactly what I mean. So I'm going to start by opening my camera app, and by default, it opens in 1x in wide-angle view. And you can immediately see that the scene is so big that I can't possibly capture it all in one frame. So what I could do is switch to my 0.5x, my ultra-wide, and if I do that, I can actually capture most of this river bend in one frame. And what's really interesting here is, well, number one, the beautiful sky, but besides that, I also have a really interesting foreground at the bottom of the frame. So I have this tree root on the bottom right that I think is a really interesting grounding element. It kind of gives me a sense of perspective, a sense of where I'm standing as a photographer. Now, what's also interesting here is that I have a U shape, not only in the river, but also in the foreground. So I have some really interesting branches on the left and on the right. And at the bottom of the screen, I have some grass and I have this unique root. So this is really a special photo. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a picture. As beautiful as this photo is, it still doesn't convey everything in the scene, simply because the scene is so wide that I cannot get it all in, even in a super wide photo. So what can I do? Well, I can take a panoramic photo, and that way I should be able to capture it all. So I'm going to start by rotating my iPhone to vertical, because that's what I need in order to take a panoramic photo. Then I'm going to swipe my finger from right to left twice until the Panorama Mode comes up. And this is where I can take a panoramic photo. But before I do, I actually need to make a decision about which lens I'm going to use. So to make this decision, I like to kind of pre-visualize the scene in terms of what I'm going to get simply by rotating from left to right and back and forth like this without actually making a capture. And it looks like the 1x view gives me a solid start where I can get everything I need in the frame. So I'm almost ready to take a photo. But before I do, I also want to decide whether I want to start it from the left or from the right. So if I tap on this white arrow, I can actually capture a panoramic from right to left. If I tap again, I'm back to the original left to right capture direction. Now, typically, I like to start where there's more interest or where the scene is brighter. So here I have some more interest on the left because we have those beautiful cliffs there. So I'm going to start on the left-hand side. I'm going to press the shutter button, and I'm going to move slowly, gently from left to right like this. The slower I move, the better it's going to work. And my goal is to keep the white arrow centered on the yellow line. Now, if I go too low for any reason, you'll see this kind of gap appear at the top of the panel preview. But if I simply move the iPhone back up again, I can close the gap. So if you make a mistake during your capture for any reason, this is how you can correct that mistake. Now, another rule for panoramas is to always capture it more than once. That's because when you're taking a panoramic photo, the iPhone is stitching a lot of individual photos together to create a beautiful, big photo. Now, this usually works well, but there's sometimes some stitching mistakes, and you never know when it's going to happen. So when you're standing in front of something so beautiful, you want to make sure you capture it at least twice. So I'm going to go ahead and press the shutter again. I'm going to move slowly like this as I'm trying to keep the phone steady, and I want to make sure that the white arrow stays close to the yellow line. And when I'm done, here on the right-hand side, I can actually simply rotate to the left like this. So if I'm capturing the panel from left to right, if I then quickly move back, that actually ends the capture. But now, let's take a look at what we just captured. And look at that. That is such a beautiful photo. I'm really happy with the way it looks. I finally managed to capture the entire width of this beautiful river in one shot. And I'm also really happy that I managed to include this tree on the right. I think it adds a really nice touch to the final image And it kind of gives the viewer a sense of place. It gives them a sense of where I'm standing, so that they know that I'm not just floating in midair like a drone. I'm actually standing on the edge of this cliff where we have this beautiful tree. So I'm really happy with what we captured. But what else could we try? So far, we've only captured the photo using the 1x lens. Now, what would happen if we switched to 2x? Now at 2x, actually, this isn't going to work. And the reason is that the scene is simply too narrow at 2x. I cannot even get this thing in front of me, which kind of looks like an island, in one frame, especially if I also want to include a reflection. So at 2x, it just doesn't work. It's too tight, and I'm not getting the kind of results I want. So that's not going to work. Now, another thing I could try is my 0.5x, my ultra-wide lens. So if I switch over to that, if I do a quick preview of the panel I'm going to get, you'll see that this is actually also really interesting, because here I can frame not only the river, but also the foreground. And as I told you before, the foreground here is really interesting because I have those beautiful roots, and I also have this kind of a U shape. So I have a U shape in the river, and I have a U shape in the foreground. And I think if I combine these two U shapes into one composition, that could look really interesting. So once again, I'm going to start from left, and press the shutter. I'm going to gently move to the right. I'm going to try to do it as slowly as I can. And just to be sure, I'll do it again, because with panels, you never know for sure. So I'm going to take another panoramic photo, gently move from left to right. And look at that. That is absolutely stunning. I'm so happy about what I was able to capture. And this is the kind of image I couldn't possibly take if I wasn't using the panoramic mode. This scene is just far too wide. I can't even fit it into an ultra-wide angle lens photo. But if I do a panoramic, I can actually capture the entire width of this beautiful landscape, and it looks absolutely amazing. So there you have it. This is how you take beautiful panoramic photos with your iPhone. Now, just as I was getting ready to leave, something really special happened. Right there over the river, the sun came out. And this isn't gonna last long. Maybe in 1 or 2 minutes, the sun's gonna go behind those trees and this whole opportunity will be gone. So I'll stop talking, I'll get out my iPhone and I'll show you. Look at that. This looks absolutely epic. I'm at my 2x lens and this allows me to get closer, and you'll see that I have this beautiful sun and that's kind of framing the river, and the sky looks absolutely amazing, and just everything has this beautiful warm glow. Now in terms of where I'm standing, you'll see that I can reveal the sun like this, but then I get a lens flare, which may or may not be ideal. But if I just take a half a step to the left, half a step, that's all I need to do, you'll see that the sun is now hidden behind that tree, and now the flare is gone. And I'm going to be careful to also clean up the top left-hand corner of the frame like this. And now I can take a clean picture. So the point is, when you're doing photography, you always want to keep looking around. You don't want to just get so obsessed over a particular technique or a type of shot, like panoramic photos, which we're doing now, that you miss everything else. Because the best opportunities in photography are the ones you never expected. They usually don't last long. So if you see something special, like I saw today, make sure you capture that with your iPhone.